Well, hello everyone. It's Sibyl Star, and I'm here to give the astrology forecast for the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo at 29 degrees of Virgo on September 21st. So, first, let's talk just a little bit about eclipses and what they are. So, a solar eclipse, which is what this is, and is partial, and it will be viewed in the United States because it occurs around 11 a.m. Pacific time. So, but it's partial, so I don't know how much you'll actually see, but you could see some of it. And a solar eclipse occurs when the moon blocks the light of the sun. It's at the new moon, but it's aligned in such a way that part of the light of the sun is blocked. And what happens during a solar eclipse? Everything in our solar system is made up of photons of light from the sun. So when that light is blocked, it allows for more cosmic influences to come in. Okay. And the electromagnetic field of the Earth herself changes during this time. Many indigenous people and different cultures, what they do is they either go indoors, they pray, they go in salt water because they can feel the energetic shifts. Although I know many people that are solar eclipse chasers and they feel like it's um, it's a very exciting kind of an energy, and they don't feel that it impacts their electromagnetic field. Anyway, but they are harbingers of change. They bring things to light that have been hidden. It can also activate turbulent weather, storms, and earthquakes. A solar eclipse impacts our place in the world and world events. And we've been in what's an eclipse window for the last basically month because we had a lunar eclipse on September 7th, and it would have really come into the window 2 weeks before that. So then it will continue for 2 weeks after this eclipse. So it's actually like a 3 week window of the eclipse. All right. Or not 3 weeks, see, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks. That's a 6 week window. All right. So, and this is what is called a south node solar eclipse, meaning that the sun is conjunct the south node. And well, the eclipse is conjunct the south node because it's in Virgo and the south node is in Virgo. And a south node solar eclipse is a cosmic mandate to let go of old patterns, behaviors, and attachments that no longer serve the collective's evolutionary path. It's a time when the universe is said to slam doors shut in order to compel movement toward a new direction. So it's like things need to end before the new can begin, demanding observation and surrender rather than active manifestation or intention setting. These events are often experienced as fated, ushering in accelerated change and uncovering shocking truths as a means of realigning the collective with its true spiritual purpose. So it's very much of a realignment and letting go of things that no longer serve us so that we can move forward. And like I said, it's at 29 degrees of Virgo. So if you have planets or angles from 26 to 29 degrees of the mutable signs, such as Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, or Gemini, or from about 0 to 3 or maybe 4 degrees of cardinal signs of Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, it will impact you more strongly. All right. So I'm going to show you the chart of the new moon solar eclipse. We're going to look at that first. All right. Let's see here. All right. Here we go. All right. All right. So here it is. Okay. So the solar eclipse, as you can see, is here. And this is a 0 degrees Aries chart. That's what I always use because it really depends on where you are as to what house is activated or what house is activated in your natal chart. Okay. All right. So here it is. It's first off, it's at September 21st at 12:55 p.m. Pacific time, and it is at 12 degrees, excuse me, 29 degrees, 5 minutes of Virgo. All right. Now, it is also, this is opposite Saturn. It's tightly opposite Saturn and also tightly opposite Neptune. Saturn and Neptune are in a conjunction, an out of sign conjunction opposing this. Now, there is also Mercury, which is here at 5 degrees of Libra, is conjunct this new moon, and Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. All right. And so the sun and the moon and Mercury are in a grand trine that turns into a kite. So it's in a trine to Pluto in Aquarius, trine Uranus at Pluto in Aquarius, 1 degree Aquarius, trine Uranus at one and Sedna at 1 degree Gemini. Then once again coming back, trining the sun and moon and Mercury, and then opposing Saturn and Neptune. And this was what makes it a kite. Okay. It's also, there's a couple of Yods in here, which, I mean, this is a jam-packed solar eclipse. There's so many things. Okay. So we also have two Yods, which Mars being the focal point of the Yod, which is in conjunct, which 150 degrees, Saturn and Neptune. Well, mainly, we'll say both of them. Yes, Saturn and Neptune, because it's at 20. We also have three planets at 29 degrees, which are anaretic degrees. So it is in conjunct 150 degrees from Saturn and Neptune, which is sextile Uranus, which then comes back and makes the Yod or the finger of fate or the finger of God. Now, the other Yod or finger of fate has Venus at the focal point, and it is in conjunct Pluto. And then Pluto is in conjunct, of course, is Neptune. It's not as close with Saturn, so we'll just say Neptune. Okay. And then one more piece, we still have the Chiron Eris conjunction, which opposes Mars. All right. So yeah, it's a very, I think every planet except Jupiter is really involved in one of these aspect patterns. Let's see, in Jupiter, wow. Well, Jupiter is coming up to square the Eris Chiron conjunction. All right, but anyway, so every planet is pretty much involved. All right, so now let's talk about what all of this actually means. Okay, all right, so first off, the sun and the moon are in Virgo. And like I said, we have the new moon partial solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo on September 21st at 12:55 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. All right. So first off, so we have the Virgo archetype because it's a strong Virgo energy. Virgo is the archetype of the priestess. And, the priestess is about sacred work. So when Virgo is strong, it indicates there is sacred work to do. But the paradox is Virgo knows that everything is sacred. There is no difference between the sacred and the mundane. It's just our our mind, how we approach things, how because prayer, washing dishes can be every bit as sacred as prayer if we do it in a mindful way. Okay. And Virgo is also associated with the goddess, with Isis, with Ceres, and with Mother Mary. All three of those divine beings are associated with Virgo. And as Virgo is called Virgo the Virgin. And the Virgin is not about being sexually chaste. It's about a woman who is free and independent unto herself, owned by no one. Okay. Virgo is an earth sign. It's very practical and problem solving. And it's very much about discernment, which is about separating the wheat from the chaff. And so it's like just being able to discern what is good for you and what is not, what it is you need to do and what you don't need to do, which is different than judgment, because judgment is where we label something good or bad. So it's discernment. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so it brings in critical thinking skills. The ability to discern is critical thinking skills. What is true? What is not true? Okay. It's a healing sign. Many, many healers have Virgo really strong, especially with products of Mother Earth, natural forms of healing, such as food and herbs, nutrition, yeah, all of those things. And also, Virgo is really good at any kind of detail work. If there's Virgo can be, it's not always the artistic component, but it gives the skill, the ability and patience to develop a skill that is artistic. Virgo is very much about the mind-body connection. It's very porous. And, it rules digestion. And, yeah, and so often, I worked as a nurse more than 40 years, and many, many years ago when I worked in the hospital, which is a long, long, long time ago, people would come in with abdominal pain of an unknown source. Well, almost always, I would say, would come from anxiety that had originated in the emotional realm. So it's really important to recognize the mind-body connection, and that's the good news and the bad news. The good news is when you recognize it, it's easier to approach it. The bad news is that it's a symptom. Okay. All right. So it's that things will show up in your body quickly. Put it that way. Things will show up in your body quickly. The key is to ask, what is it asking? What does it want? Okay. What does your body want? What does it need? Okay. Virgo is known as the god of small things and random acts of kindness. Small pets are often associated with Virgo and the sixth house that it rules. Virgo is associated with humility as one of the gates of heaven. Virgo is always going to keep us real and keep us humble. Okay, it's very detail oriented. So in times of Virgo, it's time to get organized. And, Virgo, as they say, is always trying to organize chaos, to keep things organized in the midst of chaos. And the thing is, once you turn your back, the chaos returns. So it's really important to, of course, to get organized, to do what you need to do, but also know there's only so much, like how much time do you want to spend on keeping things organized, right? And the shadow of Virgo is worry, self-criticism, and perfectionism. And that is one of the big, really big shadows of Virgo, is the desire for perfection. Because, as human beings, we will never be perfect. But as spiritual beings, we're always perfect. And so living with that paradox. All right. So at this eclipse, the sun and the moon are at 29 degrees of Virgo, which is a critical degree. It's called an anaretic degree. And 29 degrees of any sign is called a degree of fate. It carries urgency, a sense of culmination, and a strong push to complete or resolve unfinished business before moving into the next sign's energy. And the very next day, the fall equinox, we move into the fall equinox into the new sign, which is zero Libra. Okay, so we're sitting on the Virgo Libra threshold. And the ruler of this Virgo eclipse is Libra at Mercury is at 5 degrees of Libra. So Virgo is about purification, discernment, service, and aligning with integrity. Libra is about balance, harmony, relationship, and collective dialogue. The eclipse asks, what needs to be purified or completed so we can enter Libra season of balance with integrity? And another question is, what do we need to let go of to find the inner peace and harmony that Libra is seeking? So it's a anaretic degree with a sense of urgency to complete a purification process, to be able to move into that place of inner peace and harmony. This makes this eclipse feel like a final exam in Virgo themes, attention to detail, healing, service, wholeness, before we step into Libra's world of partnership and collective agreements at the equinox. Now, the Sabian symbol for this degree is, and just for those who don't know what the Sabian symbols are, there was a psychic named Elsie Wheeler back in the 1930s who had a vision for every degree of the zodiac, and I just find them really helpful. It adds a whole different level of dimension of understanding. Although in the case of this one, it goes deeper into the one we already have been talking about. Here is the symbol. It's having an urgent task to complete. A man doesn't look to any distractions. This symbol underlies the eclipse's message: clarity, focus, and dedication to a sacred task. The distractions of daily life fall away. What matters is stepping fully into purpose. So some questions could be, what urgent task in your life or soul mission is calling for your full attention right now? Where have distractions or diversions taken you off course? And how might you prepare yourself, body, mind, and spirit, to enter Libra season and the equinox in greater alignment? And health issues are often related to Virgo. And I had a friend ask me why so many people on the spiritual path are having health issues right now. And of course, one answer is, more light and higher frequencies are coming in and asking our bodies to adjust. It's like that, I think I've used that analogy before of running a 110 system, but a 220 is coming in. So what do you need to do to adapt, to hold that higher frequency? And your body is speaking to you and telling you what to do. So pay attention to your body. On a health level, Virgo is about assimilation and digestion. What can you no longer digest, whether it's food or energy? What no longer resonates with your vibration? You may need to make changes, not only in your diet, that of course would come up almost immediately, but in all aspects of your life: friends, music, entertainment, relationships. And also one of the big ones is, technology, because there's a lot of technology that is also impacting our bodies as well. And so one of the key ways to really deal with this is to be grounded in nature. Get your feet on the ground, have a grounding mat in your home. Those are all, but staying connected to Mother Nature, because she's actually the transformer, the grounding that you need. All right. Now, as I talked about, there is a grand trine with a kite, and we've talked about these before. A grand trine is like a triangle, and it's an easy flow of energy. And a kite needs to be free and anchored, but it needs the that anchor, which is or it'll just fly away. Okay. And so this grand trine includes Pluto in Aquarius, trine Uranus in Gemini, trine the Sun and Moon, the eclipse at 29 Virgo, and Mercury in Libra, opposite Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Aries. And so the kite, as I said, needs to be free and anchored and giving direction and propulsion. It channels the airy, earthy flow into focused manifestation. So here are the components of this. All right. Pluto in Aquarius is about collective transformation, power dynamics, technology, consciousness shifts. Pluto says evolve or repeat. Evolve or die, or evolve or repeat. When Pluto is active, he's saying evolve. And it's conjunct the star Altair in Aquila the Eagle. which ask us to fly into the storm so that we can rise above it and see the bigger picture. The key is to not get caught in the drama. And there's a lot of drama going on right now. There's lots of storms in our world. Be like the eagle and fly above the storm. See the bigger picture. See what's really happening. You can't see it when you're in the middle of the storm. You just have to stay focused and get above it. Uranus in Gemini is bringing breakthroughs, awakening of new ideas, downloads, disruption, and disruption of communication systems. And boy, I am sure experiencing some disruption in my technology right now. My internet is a little wonky. I've bought a new printer that's not working. Anyway, just lots of different things. All right, it's also conjunct the star Alcyone in direct alignment with Alcyone in the Pleiades, which bringing in increased frequencies and light codes and downloads that open our hearts. The Pleiades is all about the fifth dimension. That is a frequency that is helping us awaken our hearts into the fifth dimension, which is about love, creativity, and unity consciousness. All right, Mercury in Libra is asking us to find words that bring balance, truth, and harmony into the collective dialogue. Okay, and the sun and moon in Virgo, we've already talked about that, is about service, integrity, discernment, and healing work. So the grand trine provides flow, inspiration, and big picture breakthroughs. It's like the cosmos is offering a supportive current of energy for transformation and information. Yet, because the sun and the moon are at a critical Virgo degree, there's still a demand for precision. These big forces must be grounded in service and detail. Like I said, the kite will just fly away if it's not grounded. Okay. And it's the opposition to Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Aries that is the anchor for the kite. Saturn at 28 Pisces is the karmic reckoning of spiritual responsibility. It asks, where do you bring maturity to your spiritual life? The ability to surrender the ego to the higher self is actually spiritual maturity, to not try to control the situation, to flow with the energy, and and to be anchored within that. Neptune at 1 degrees of Aries, or excuse me, 0 degrees Aries, is visions of a new world or new identity just beginning to stir, so must have spiritual sovereignty. Saturn and Neptune as anchor of the kite is actually really spiritual sovereignty. Saturn is so much about personal authority, and in Pisces it brings in the spiritual component. Spiritual sovereignty is the state of recognizing and honoring yourself as the ultimate authority of your soul. It means living from your direct connection to source rather than outsourcing your truth, power, or purpose to external authorities, belief systems, or collective pressures. Don't let yourself be yanked around by what is going on in the world. Stay centered within the truth of your being, which is your spiritual sovereignty. Trust your inner authority as it comes from a higher power, and the visions it brings is for what will create the future. And I believe another big piece of this is about remembering the truth of who we are, that we are in the process of dissolving the illusion that we are separate from source. I think that is a big piece of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. All right. The eclipse at 29 degrees Virgo and Mercury at 5 degrees Libra also align with what is called the Super Galactic Center, which is around 2 degrees of Libra. And it's a powerful hub drawing thousands of galaxies into union. This means our work of healing and purification is not just personal or collective. It is galactic. The Super Galactic Center pulls us toward unity consciousness. This is where it's pulling us. And with Mercury here, messages and insights arrive to remind us of our larger belonging in the cosmic fabric, that we are not alone, that this is an experience. We are part of something greater than ourselves having this experience. And this is something that's going to help us remember that and to the dissolving of that boundary of what we believe where we're separate from source. It also reminds us of the law of attraction and that what we broadcast out into the field is what comes back to us. So look around you and what's in your field and what signal are you broadcasting, because that's what's coming back. Okay. All right. Then I talked about Mars. Of course, Mars is the warrior. Mars is about our direction in life. It's about our passion. It's about our desire. But Mars often shows us where we're out of alignment and and bringing up conflict to bring us back into alignment. So Mars is at the vocal point of a yod or a finger of fate. It's at 29 degrees of Libra, another planet at 29 degrees, the critical degree, the anaretic degree. And so Mars in Libra wants harmony, balance, and fairness above all. And when something seems unfair, the warrior within is triggered. Okay. And so but when it's at the focal point of this yod, it can bring with it a sense of imbalance, irritation, indecision, or feeling pulled in too many directions. The inconjuncts bring irritability. Just so you know, it's like having a pebble in your shoe. It's something, it doesn't exactly hurt, but you got to deal with it. It has got your attention and it can make you kind of irritable until you deal with it. The inconjunct suggests that action, Mars is where we take action. The inconjunct suggests that action may feel blocked, delayed, or misaligned, highlighting the need for patience and discernment. Quincunx, the Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Aries. Friction between spiritual responsibility, dreams dissolving, and the urgency of Mars to act. Mars is told to wait, discern, and adjust. Quincunx Uranus is tension between the need for breakthrough and new awareness and the pressure to act with balance and fairness. This creates a feeling of not knowing where to act. You might feel that way. You feel like there's a shift happening, something's going on. You just don't know what it is. And so there's a feeling, like I said, of not knowing where to act or action sparking unintended consequences. Collectively, it can feel like chaotic urgency. We know a turning point is here, but the right way forward isn't obvious. Okay. Mars is in the finger of fate, like the cosmic hand pointing us forward. We may feel pressure, frustration, or the sense of being cornered, but the truth is, Spirit is realigning us. The task is not to act from impulse, but from deep integrity and spiritual sovereignty. Knowing what to do comes from deep within, not in the moment where your mind is saying, "What do I do?" This is a karmic redirection and the closing of one door and the opening of another. It's not about forcing the path, but about courageously following the one that is being revealed. It is in the process of being revealed, and to trust your inner truth, even if it does not align with the way things seem to be in the world. Now, the next day, Mars moves into Scorpio, but at the eclipse, it's still in Libra and it's in a square to Pluto. But it's really moving into Scorpio where things begin to get a little clearer. Mars and Pluto together in a square can bring confrontations with power, collective eruptions, revelations of shadow. We're dealing with our shadow and dealing with our desire nature, what we want versus what is really in our highest good, and the need to reclaim power from manipulative forces. Really, it's about standing in your own truth. Definitely, this is happening in the external world as a reflection of our inner world. Mars square Pluto is like the cosmic surgeon, cutting away what is toxic or false. Pluto in Aquarius wants deep authenticity of self. So it's cutting away what is toxic or false so we can step into the new season cleansed and renewed. It emphasizes the eclipse theme, completion, karmic closure, and stepping into authentic power. That's what this is really about. And on the eclipse the next day, when Mars actually moves into Scorpio, the energy of the square will still be there, but it's Scorpio is a little more direct. It really does know what it wants. Libra can be very indecisive. The eclipse shows ultimately our task is to create our new vision, but we may have to look at some difficult truth about ourselves, our relationships, and our world. All right. Now, as I talked about, Mars is opposite Chiron and Eris in Aries. So this eclipse highlights the deep polarization we're seeing in our world, and it is certainly not hard to miss. Okay. All right. So Chiron conjunct Eris in Aries exposes the raw wound of division, of voices cast out, of wounded identities. Opposite Mars in Libra, the call is to move towards balance and justice, not by avoiding conflict, but by facing it with the intention to restore harmony. So it's like, don't participate in the divisiveness. This eclipse chart also places Mars at the very last degree of Libra. This perfectly mirrors the polarity we see in the world right now. On one side, the desire for peace, harmony, and cooperation. On the other, the wounded cry for authenticity, justice, and truth at any cost. This is why so much feels divided, not only out there, but inside each of us. The invitation is not to collapse into one side or the other, but to recognize the wound that fuels the division. Healing begins when we can bring honesty, courage, and compassion into how we act and into how we hold one another across our differences. What actions we take to restore harmony in our personal world ripples out and brings harmony into the collective field and the world at large. So, what steps can you do to bring harmony into the world, to heal the divide? And it's important to also know so much of this divide is orchestrated. There are this Mars square Pluto, those are the powers of be of manipulation and orchestration that are happening to make this divide. Those that are behind the scenes, they do not want the people to move into unity consciousness. The more we're divided, the easier we are to control and manipulate. But the key is to step into your own spiritual sovereignty and not participate. Step back, take a pause before you respond to anything. Because if you step back, you won't be reacting. If you want to respond, you will have given it some thought. Okay. So, and making choices that bring harmony, not divisiveness. Okay. All right. The next yod, there's one more yod, and that is with Venus at the apex. And as we know, it's called a finger of fate or a finger of God. And Venus at 2 degrees of Virgo is in conjunct Pluto, once again at 1 degree Aquarius. And this time it's at Neptune at 0 degrees Aries. So this is the feminine principle: love, relationship, and values, being refined, purified, and redirected by larger forces than us. It's a karmic turning point. How do we bring the highest ideals and collective transformations into the way we love each other, care for the earth, and embody beauty in our daily lives? This Venus yod, together with the Mars yod, reminds us that both masculine and feminine paths are being recalibrated as we step through the equinox gateway. This eclipse shows us that the urgent task of our time is to heal the divide. But the stars remind us it begins with ourselves. Before we can bring balance to the world, we must look honestly within, purify what is distorted, heal what is wounded, and come back into integrity. As we do this individually, we create the possibility of healing collectively. The equinox that follows this eclipse is the gateway into balance, but at 29 Virgo, it says, first, complete the inner work. As we step into the fall equinox at 0 degrees Libra, the sign of peace, the next day, it is important to remember that true peace is not the absence of conflict, but the courage to hold both sides of the wound with love. All right. Wishing everyone a wonderful eclipse and equinox. It's a very powerful time. And if you like this video, please check like and subscribe. And if you would like a reading, all of my information is in the description box. So, all right. So wishing everyone many, many blessings. Oh, yes. And I may not be doing a full moon video in October because I am moving and I still be in the moving process. All right. So anyway, namaste. Blessings to all. Much love.